Hey folks, do you like podcasts?
Do you have hobbies?
Well, here's the show for you.
The Hobby Shop Talk Podcast,
Featuring childhood friends,
and old school noobs.
Luke and Matt.
Hello, everyone. This is Matt, and this is the Hobby Shop Talk Podcast, and we're on episode 24, and I'm joined again by Luke. Luke, how you doing today?
Good. Just been finally enjoying nice Minnesota weather. Then of course it gets to like 98, 99 degrees, and then it's like, can't we just get like 70s for 2 or 3 months?
You know what the best thing is right now? We were just talking, and this is what's funny about us is we only get a little bit of warm weather, but Darcy and I were talking that it's almost the best time of the year, which is fall, because that means football too. And man, it's coming up on training camp, so that's awesome. And I'm going to talk. This is for later. I wanted to talk about Madden franchise. It seems like they're doing tons of upgrades to it, so I'm looking forward to Madden's franchise mode this year.
Well, and Madden's on the cover this year, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. But yeah, we have lots to catch up on because I think even though we said it was going to be like a week, there was a whole other like 2 weeks. But at some point, we're going to be more reliable, I think. But yeah, I suppose we could even break the news that people, there's a chance I'm going to be stopping the hobby shop just because, man, things have got really slow. But also, I got Starlink internet and I can work from home again, and that's what I was doing. So anyways, if that happens, I will let people know more. But what that'll mean is I'll have way more time to do things, including the podcast, and play more games and play actually probably more Magic even, just because when you're working the store, you don't play as much as you'd like.
Oh, yeah. And would you still probably sell online on eBay or something?
Yeah, yep. I have my eBay set up. So that's my plan, is to keep doing that. But also maybe go to like flea markets and things, maybe sell comics. And, I've got so many comics and cards, obviously. Yeah, so I'm able to, Starlink internet, it's going to help the whole gaming part of our household, because we lost it for almost a year living remotely here, out in the rural areas of Minnesota. We couldn't do anything. Now we can, kids play Fortnite and Roblox and everything online without lagging. So it also means I can play more games online. So I'm looking forward to that.
Nice.
But since then, though, we played some Magic. I'm going to talk about just one game quick that I'm not going to go through everything, because it was a 2 versus 2 versus 2 game that we played in the store. I actually closed the store early the other day because I wanted to play in the game. So I closed just a couple hours early, and we started playing that. I was playing my green and black deck, which at the moment I have Savra, the Queen of the Golgari, as my commander. So that's a green and a black and 2 additional. Whenever you sacrifice a black creature, you may pay 2 life. If you do, each other player sacrifices a creature. Or whenever you sacrifice a green creature, you may gain 2 life. And I've got all my Garooks in there, which that'll be a shout out to our comics later. So the hope was to get lots of Garooks out, to get a lot of creatures, and there's a lot of things to sacrifice and get out some of my more bigger creatures out of my deck. It's been playing really well, so not counting this game, which I'm talking about, so I'll skip ahead, but it's been playing well. And I'll explain that in a second. But in this game, it was Corey and I from the store, Brent and Dylan, who I've talked about, and then also Devin, and then Tyler. And I'm just going to mention Tyler's deck because he played with Emrakul, the Promised End. Are you familiar with this, Luke?
Oh, the Eldrazi?
Yeah.
So,
it's a 13,
I hate Eldrazi's.
So it's a 13 colorless, 13 colorless mana. Emrakul, the Promised End, cost 1 less to cast for each creature type among cards in your graveyard. When you cast Emrakul, you gain control of target opponent during that player's next turn. After that turn, that player takes an extra turn. It has flying, trample, and protection from instants. So luckily it was Brent that he did that. When he came out, he got to take Brent's turn. And at first I thought he meant take his turn, like he got to play his own deck, and you literally take control of them. So he got Brent's hand, and drew a card and was able to, play cards and attack. And so, yeah, that was interesting. But then also it's a 13-13, flying. So it hit me once. I would have died the next time. Luckily, I had a fog. And I say I would have died without the fog, but also it was the only card I could play because he also had out Void Winnower. So that's a 9-cost Eldrazi. Your opponents can't cast spells with even converted mana cost. 0 is even. Your opponents can't block with creatures with even converted mana cost. So I had Fog, which was a 1. I had what's that? Something Sun's Zenith, where it's 2 greens and then X, and I can go, or I think it's 2 X's. I can go search for a creature card or whatever with converted mana cost. Anyways, if I made that 5, which I did, I was able to use that. Otherwise, the other few cards in my hand were even. And Corey on my team, he had literally like 2, 4, 6, 8 with another even in there. So he literally could not do anything. Yeah, so they ended up winning. Also, Devin was amassing a zombie army on the as his teammate, as we really couldn't do anything for 2 or 3 turns until the end. So that was interesting. I had never played those cards and hadn't really seen them much. So that was definite. The most control I had seen, because we played. Devin has another control deck I'd seen recently, but that definitely shut the game down at that point.
Yeah, Eldrazi's, they're pretty tough because I don't even know if there's much. Like you said, that one had protection from instances and
yeah,
and they're just super powerful. Did it have Annihilator on it?
I don't think that one does. No,
oh.
Nope.
But yeah, when they get like, I forget which one it is, but it's like Annihilator 5, so they can just exile 5 things off the battlefield of yours, and it's just like, it's too powerful. You got to play like an aggro deck just to, kill them before they can get going. Otherwise,
and it was the Brent and Dylan and Corey and I pretty much at that point were, almost having to try to team together, because it's like we couldn't do anything unless one of us could, somehow get rid of. So we were all trying to get rid of things, and we'd be able to get rid of some stuff, but then it kind of just locked us down, especially not being able to cast things with evens. I mean, that really shuts down a deck. But anyways, that was one I played recently. What do you have? I'm guessing you've played some here recently.
Yeah, I've actually been playing at work quite a bit because all the developers there, they all play, which is kind of fun. So like on lunch, if we're not too busy, we'll play. But they usually play those pre-constructed decks. Like they have all of them from Strixhaven, all of them from I think the Commander Legends that came out not too long ago, and then a few others. They also have like those Challenger decks for like 60 card format. But I've been bringing up my own the ones that I made and playing them, so that's been pretty fun because I've been testing out my enchantment deck and then my equipment deck that I kind of upgraded after I played against up at the store against Brent and stuff, and I realized I had way too many equipments in there and not enough creatures. So like I get one creature destroyed and then I'm like waiting 3 turns so I can either play my commander again or draw into another creature. So but then my the Kaikar deck that I kind of keep trying to get better and better and taking cards out and put new ones in. So
that's what I've been doing a lot of. As I mentioned, I had started with Karth, where I was able to go and look for planeswalkers to get those Garuks and Vivian of the Hunt. But at one point here, I had switched to Mazarek Kraul Death Priest, which is 1 green, a black, and 3. It's an insect shaman. It's a 2/2 flying. Whenever a player sacrifices another permanent, put a 1/1 counter on each creature I control. So I have some different things, obviously, in my deck to sacrifice, as well as, whenever anybody sacrifices, which Devin plays zombies a lot, and he likes to sacrifice zombies. So, but I went down. The other is my current commander, as I mentioned before, is a 4-cost. So kind of switching back and forth to see what I like best. But I've added some value in some trades. I added a mana reflection. You tap a permanent for mana, it produces twice as much of that mana instead.
Is that an enchantment?
Yep. The Deathrite Shaman, which is a 1-cost, either a black or a green, and I can tap it and exile a target land from a graveyard, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. That's nice because some of the guys have been playing exile decks, so I've got plenty to exile and early on I had this, so I had early on mana, just exiling Ken's stuff in a recent game out of his graveyard. Otherwise, you can exile an instant or sorcery from a graveyard. Each opponent loses 2 life, or exile target creature card from a graveyard. You gain 2 life. And the other thing that I added to this with a lot of big creatures is Monster Manual. So you can do it's one where it's got an adventure. But the thing I like about it is you can it's an artifact when you bring it up for that, and you can tap 2 and put a creature from your hand onto the battlefield. So a lot of the big creatures in here, I could pay 2 and tap it, and bring one of them out. And I actually did that in one of those games I was mentioning. So as I've been upgrading this, it's been working pretty well. I wanted to focus on bringing lots of tokens out with my Garuks, the wolves and beasts, and then sacrificing them with like, for example, Fiend Artisan I added, where I can sacrifice a creature and then pay X and search for creature cards from my library and put them on the battlefield, but just sacrificing those tokens, and then in that case, when I sacrifice, it trips a bunch of other abilities like my commander's abilities. But what I've been finding is I've been bringing a lot of creatures out, and just using all those different wolves and beasts, I'm realizing I don't have enough sacrifice. I think I have some, but I've been winning a couple of recent games just because I've been building up an army of wolves and beasts, and then powering them up with the different Guroks, and giving 3 and 3 and trample, and like this Monster Manual. The other day I was able to bring out very early on. That's a 4 cost. And then pay 2, but I was able to bring out Impervious Great Worm, which is 3 green and 7, and it's got Convoke, so you can use creatures to help cast it, and it's a 16/16 indestructible. So I was able to get that out pretty early on, and give that 3/3 and trample, and but anyways, it's been working good, but it hasn't been doing exactly what I picture it doing. But so I've been making some changes, but it's running.
Do you have like automatic sacrifice outlets? So like, what is it, Ashnod's Altar, where if you sacrifice a creature you can get 2 colorless mana? Like, do you have anything like that where you can just sacrifice it without tapping anything? Because then you can...
I do need more, so I need more of that exact things. I have some I've got a handful of different things where I can sacrifice. I've been adding more, but it's like I either don't have enough, definitely, or I just don't draw what I need. It's like I get some of the sacrifice stuff, but then all of a sudden I don't have enough, things to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Or I get the, the creatures, and when I do that, that's fine because I could make a whole ton of creatures and then pump them up and still win the game. But so I still a work in progress with this deck. But I like it though, and now. As we're going to talk about, I don't want to spoil too much, but I was pretty pumped to read issues 11 and 12 of the comic since Gurok.
Yeah, he was pretty focused in both of them, huh?
Yeah. So, So any other games that you're going to talk about? I had those. Those are my couple most recent things I wanted to talk about. Is that the
last few times I think I went to Lewis's game shop in Monticello. I just been making new decks or just trying, to upgrade mine. So I haven't been playing as much, but I was basically playing at work. So
a lot of the guys in store have been playing more modern or playing more 60 card decks, and wanting me to. I've got my Goblin deck, which is pretty fast, a modern deck, but they've been playing more modern recently. So I'm wondering if that'll come back a little bit more. People got really into Commander here. Some people are, I don't know, just wanting to kind of go back to that, play a little bit more 60 card as well.
I've been wanting to make a good modern deck, and then I usually end up taking out the good cards to put in a Commander deck because I don't play modern enough to warrant using the good cards. But I have to start making my own proxies, I think.
So the other thing I just thought of this, but I'm curious, have you heard of I think Devin, he was just here too, and was trying to get me to make a Pauper deck. Is that what he had said?
The commons, yeah.
Yeah. So a 60 card all common deck.
Yep.
So that's something we're talking about. We're going to try. I mean, I'm like, he mentioned, he's like, let's do it now. This is before, just a little bit ago, before I'm like, man, I wouldn't even have the first clue what deck to, my first thought would be goblins, but I wouldn't, that'd be boring.
Yeah.
I already have but it'd be easy. There's so many common goblins. Anyways, so that's something we might also try.
Yeah, they've had a few on Arena. They've had like the Popper or whatever events. So I've built a couple of them on Arena, but I don't know. I usually end up going to like a white and green, like get a lot of mana and then pump up your creatures, kind of thing. So I don't know.
Yeah. So that's something maybe I'll be talking about in one of these episodes if we actually do that. For news things, the only thing, I guess before we do that, I was just going to mention, you probably could talk more about Double Masters. I unfortunately didn't pull any myself. You pulled at least some. I sold what I got in the store. I was able to see some cool pulls, some.
Did anyone pull like Imperial Seal? I think that's the big one everyone's going for.
No, and the other one was Dockside Extortionist.
Yeah.
I didn't see that yet, but I know some of the guys pulled Sensei's Divining Top, the full art foil. What's the one where you can Phyrexian Altar? Is that where you can sacrifice and get a?
See, that's another good one too. You need in that deck.
Yeah, that'd be
you're
awesome.
Talking about.
Devin has the full art foil from Double Masters of that. So that's one I'm a little bit jealous of. That would be amazing for that deck. But what did you mentioned? You pulled a few, but didn't get anything great.
Yeah, unfortunately, I got like Gravecrawler as one of my rares, and then I got Una's Prowler, which is a 3/1 black creature that it's flying, and then you can discard a card, and Una's Prowler gets -2, -0 until on a turn. Any player may activate this ability. So I don't know, just very underwhelming pulls. I got some cool like uncommons, like Go for the Throat, which is a good cheap removal.
And the full arts are awesome, and just the commons and uncommons from that set.
Yeah, which unfortunately I didn't get any of those either. So.
Oh, really? Jeez.
Yeah, I got hosed. Luckily I had some in-store credits, so that's what I used. So it wasn't like I didn't spend too much money anyway.
Well, so I had mentioned right before this, we both of us didn't do much with Double Masters, and now, man, the prices are they're hard to get, and the prices are just going up crazy. But coming up, I figured let's look at. I think more excited for what's coming up. We'll see, but Dominaria United is I think the next set coming out in September.
Well, they do have the Warhammer 40,000 or whatever. They have that like that crossover set. So, but there is actually a couple previews to those now.
Yeah, that was the three about the Warhammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't looked at any
trying to
of
see
those
if I can find those real quick. Oh, yeah, right here. Card previews. Using MTG Goldfish. It's always a good one to use for spoilers and just MTG news. So they have Abandon the Despoiler. So it's red, black, and blue, and 2 colorless for a 5/5 trample. And his ability is Mark of Chaos Ascendant. During your turn, spells you cast from your hand with mana value X or less have Cascade, where X is the total number or total amount of life your opponents have lost this turn. So he's a legendary creature, Starts Warrior. Must be like a class in Warhammer. I don't know much about Warhammer. I don't know if you do, but
I just a little bit. I mean, I have a box that I got for Christmas 2 years ago that I haven't put together or painted, and then I have a book that I've started like 5 times, and then I start over.
That'll have to be one of our podcasts or videos or YouTube thing. We can try to figure out how to play Warhammer.
Yeah. The old school noobs learn to play Warhammer.
Yeah. And then they only have 3 other spoilers out so far. So maybe we'll go over those once they get some more out. And Fabricate, I think that's That must be a reprint. Search your library for an artifact card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle. So that must be a reprint, but...
Well, and I'm on the Magic site as we're talking here, and they do have the Commander decks you can look at. So it's I don't think it has all the cards, but there's Tyrannid. I'm guessing I think it's Tyrannid Swarm. And then there's, a Tyrannid Swarm Collector's Edition. So each has a Collector's Edition.
This is for the Warhammer one?
Yeah. Let me, this is, as we're talking, I'll send you the link.
Perfect.
Technology. Slow technology at the moment. Yeah, so it looks like each of them has a collector's edition as well for the Commander decks. There's Forces of the Imperium. So I'm going to go back. So the first one I should mention, Tyrannid Swarm, is a green, blue, and red deck. The Forces of the Imperium is a white, blue, and black deck. We got Necron Dynasties is just a black deck. And then the Ruinous Powers is a blue, black, and red deck. So they also each come with a collector's edition, which says comes fully foiled with never before seen special surge foil and has the same card content. And then if you scroll down, it says there's some images. But it said previews actually begin, though, September 13th. But they do have a few. Abaddon, the Despoiler, I know he's a big one for that. That's the blue, black, and red. So there is a few pictures. That's what I was looking forward to, because Warhammer has awesome, obviously art and just their whole universe is pretty just, just awesome to look at. So I'm excited to see Magic cards with the Warhammer universe.
Yeah, these crossovers are usually pretty cool. I guess I haven't bought any yet, but I don't know. Maybe one of these decks would be fun to get.
Yep. So then the other one I had mentioned is Dominaria United. I guess here it said it marks the start of the Magic the Gathering's 30th anniversary. Remember I said we're going to go to Vegas next year?
Yeah.
To celebrate.
That would be pretty fun.
Yeah. So this set comes out in September. I don't think there's much in the way of spoilers yet. Have you seen much, Luke, in the way of spoilers?
I don't think they have any yet. So
usually you can see the date they start. Some things some predictions I'm reading here. This is on cardgamebase.com. Some predictions. They had the return of sagas as one of their predictions, which I use some sagas. There's some pretty powerful ones.
Yeah, I like sagas. They're cool when you can get like proliferate or remove a counter, because then if you remove one, you get another turn. You can keep using it.
The other thing they said is this again is some predictions on this card game base, but they make sense. They said maybe some return of some iconic characters that were there last time the set was there. So Joyra, which is used quite often here, the Weatherlight Captain. Karn, Radha, Heart of Keld. That's the green red, yeah. And then Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. But so this set comes out spoiler season. Oh, that actually starts. So there should be some spoiler season starts the 7th. So we should know more. July.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it says full spoiler season start July 7th.
Well, because I looked on there and all they had was the art for it so far.
Oh yeah,
but
just hopefully by the next episode we should have more in the way of spoilers for that set. I'm looking too. I just, like you said, I see some different art, pictures of the boxes and things like that. But anyways, that should be an interesting one, especially if you do have some of those classic characters coming back. And then the one after that, I believe, is Brothers War.
Yeah, which will be another fun one. Or hopefully because that whole storyline is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's going back again. Back in our day, going back to some of the books I think we even read with. So the Brothers' War, I think it'll be around November. Revisiting a pivotal moment in Dominaria's history, the Great War between Urza and Mishra. It's a battle that's mentioned in many places in the game's lore, but this is the first time we'll get a proper look at the war since Antiquities in a few books. So yeah, like we were saying, this is going way back. So that'll be kind of fun to see some of that coming out in November.
Did you read the Thran one? I forget what it was called, but
I think so.
Yeah. But was that the one where like, and spoiler alert, is that where the Thran turned out to be Phyrexians? Is that how the Phyrexians came about? Do you remember? I'm trying to remember the lore behind it, but I remember it being kind of like crazy because that's when Urza was, battling Mishra, and like he got whatever, coaxed by the Phyrexians and completed himself or something. I don't remember, but it'd be fun to go back and read those. That's
what I was going to say. Those are some of the things that have been moved along with me for the last 20 years and never been opened since.
Oh, they're still in the moving boxes?
Yeah, we're probably, just mixed in with my stuff. I have some of those old Magic boxes.
You can see that in my video here. Books. Where is it?
Yep, I can see them.
So, I read them quite a bit, or it's probably been 10 years since I read them all, but I remember I think I got Wrath and Storm, which is kind of it's an anthology, so they put a bunch of different stories together, but from Gerard and Karn and the Weatherlight.
Yep.
So I just started buying from the beginning. But then then they just stopped making them.
So this is gonna be an awesome segue, but so the Weatherlight, is that similar to the Stronghold that is referenced in Magic from Boom Studios issues 11 and 12? So the Stronghold is
it?
Like a vehicle.
Yeah, remember when they went to Wrath in one of those books? And they took the Weatherlight there, but then they went to the Stronghold, and that's where the Flowstone lava was, which is in the issue.
Yeah.
Because then who was what did they call the ruler of Wrath? He had a specific name, but then he can control the Flowstone stuff. Anyways, I don't know. This is getting kind of into the weeds. I gotta go back and read them now. Or I should at least look up some reviews of them again, just to jog my memory.
What I'm going to do is kind of go back to what we did before. We're going to look at issue 11 of Magic from Boom Studios, and I'll read the little blurb about it, it also probably help us refresh from before. It says, a new cabal of plane, and this is from Previews World, which I love because when I do this, it's good to have these little previews and these blurbs, so I always find the ones on previewsworld.com. A new cabal of planeswalkers debuts. After paying the ultimate price to defeat the mad god Merit Lage, planeswalkers Ral Zurek, Kaya, and Vraska return to Ravnica, and the plane closes behind them. Now a new stranded trio of planeswalkers, the combustible Chandra Nalar, the monstrous tracker Gurok Wildspeaker, and a debuting mysterious planeswalker must find their way back to Ravnica. But even as they gain foes and friends in new corners of the multiverse, things are worse there than anyone could imagine as they uncover the plot of an old enemy to manipulate Aether on a scale never seen before. That was a lot. But that's and man, I was like I was saying, it was that was a cool. This is probably one of my favorite issues, just because I seeing more. Of course, I mentioned in it mentions we get to meet. Is it Garuk? What are you going with? Garuk?
Garok. I don't know. Well, and you said Merit Lange. Is it Merit Lang or Merit Lange?
Who knows? But so
old school noobs.
This is all 3 months after everything else happening, and it's Chandra is the one that tries to go back to Ravnica and hits a brick wall pretty much and comes back, and they're they have no clue what's going on. So now they're trying to find a way to get to Ravnica. one way she had thought was of going to the stronghold, which we mentioned. And there she runs around across some other new cool people to the comic, but not, to everyone else. But Tybalt, the Lord of Pain, and also the spell thief known as Davriel Kane. Are you?
Yeah, we got a lot of meat. Yeah, a few new Planeswalker because they introduced Skarok in here coming up, and then Tybalt and Davriel. Davriel, he's the one that I think it was in. Was it Dominarius, the last Dominarius set, or War of the Spark? He was an uncommon Planeswalker that was pretty decent, where target player discards a card and then they lose 2 life if they have 1 or fewer cards in their hand.
Okay, yeah. See, I wasn't familiar where that came from.
Well, and he's also in the new what was it? Was it Strixhaven or Baldur's Gate? Let me look real quick.
But as you're doing that, I mean, the main thing of this whole thing is so she's trying to find a way to. So in that stronghold used to go across planes apparently. So they're trying to see, maybe if there's a way to get it to do that again, to get to Ravnica to see what the heck's going on. That's when they run across these Tybalt and I forgot his name already.
Davriel.
Yeah, and
because they're trying to jump there too. They must be, right? Is that what they kind of gathered?
It seems like, yeah. So then all of a sudden they're, Chandra shows up upon them and they're, about to fight, and all of a sudden Gurhat comes out of he's got pretty much like a bounty on Tybalt's head, and so then Tybalt though takes off, and so then we've got Chandra and Garuk go up for a drink, and
but they're boozing it up, and then they meet another new Planeswalker. They introduce another new Planeswalker.
So we're skipping ahead, actually. They meet Nico Ares, the Fate Scorn.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, another Planeswalker.
Yeah. But then they end up
that's right at the end, too. So maybe we did skip quite a bit.
But, the whole main thing is they're just trying to... so to get away, Tybalt, there's on the side of this mountain, like you were saying, the flow vent of this...
the flow stone.
Or flow stone or whatever.
Lava, yeah, because you can manipulate it kind of thing, but they must have a big volcano of it or whatever in the mountain, and then... So he opens that up to run down onto a village.
Just to escape and cause a distraction, yeah. So then Chandra's going to go save the village, and wants Gurok to come with, but he only cares about his bounty, but he changes his mind. But so it's up to Chandra. She's going to do what she does best and burn everything, and so she's able to turn this all to stone. Then is where we meet this Nico Ares, the Fate Scorn, and he says he's being pursued by a specter of death, and he needs only one person. There's only one person that can help him kill it, and that's Kaya. So he was seeking out Chandra to help, try and find Kaya. So the whole thing is, we're going to meet a new group of Planeswalkers, and now they're trying to get back to our other group because nobody knows what's going on in Ravnica because, it's kind of unprecedented, obviously, to have the plane shut down to them. So,
well, at the end of issue 10, that was where they're like, screw you, Planeswalkers, it's us against you, right? And they were on Ravnica.
Yeah,
right?
that's true. So, they must have
somehow got, close it out.
So I'll read just quickly, except for if it's as long as the last one, the little blurb for... and this guy, too, this Davriel, he looks pretty BA. I guess we could say badass because it's our podcast. But and the art I'm looking at on this previews world. So for issue 12, a newly debuted Planeswalker must reach Ravnica to seek Kaya, the Ghost Assassin's help with a vengeful specter, while Chandra seeks ancient machines that could breach the unseen barrier around Ravnica. In Garuk's tireless pursuit of the sadistic and elusive Tybalt may be Chandra's best lead. Meanwhile, our new trio of Planeswalkers join together as their goals align, speeding off to pick up the trail in Ameria, the shifting Skyrune, and Zendikar. But should they succeed in reaching Ravnica, they'll have to face the master dominating Tybalt and Davriel, perhaps the greatest mage the plane has ever known.
And did you get the alternate art cover for this, or did you get like the... All right, that's the one I got, but It was weird because there's different illustrators now for this one, or a different illustrator.
That threw me off.
I know.
I do. That's I mean, so there's other comics that I've read that have long runs. It really throws me off when they change artists because
just the feeling and everything just kind of changes a tad bit.
Well, so what surprises me, and I mean, there must obviously be a reason, and maybe I guess I haven't read ahead to 13 yet. Maybe you did, but I don't know if it's the same artist. But this was a new arc, so I'm surprised they wouldn't have started this arc with
11.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm looking at the names on the front. I don't want to butcher, but if you notice on 11, you've got McKay, Guara, Taibo, and Consoni.
Yeah.
And then this one has McKay, Solomon, and Cifuentes, number 12. So different names. So
yeah. Well, then if you look on the inside cover, it says written by Jed McKay, and then the illustrator is Jock Solomon for 12. But then it's the other one for 11. For 11, it's the Guara. So, anyways.
Yeah. Anyways, that threw me off right off the bat too. I actually kind of flip a few pages and I look back at 11 and I'm like, huh. But yeah, so 12. Oh, I would pull back out 11 to look at. 12 is where we were talking about though. That's where they're having a drink.
They're starting off drinking, yeah.
At Urborg and Dominaria. Which
is quite a weird place, apparently, because there's like dead ghosts walking around everywhere.
Yeah. And they're just having a drink, Garuk, Chandra, and what's our new friend's name? I just said it.
Nico.
Yeah. And they're kind of talking about how, well, he mentioned, how he met Kaya previously. It was the first planeswalker that he had met.
I like how, so in that kind of panel, Chandra's like, lighten up, Garak, whatever. And then they go to the next page and, he's had a few drinks and he's like, I am sufficiently lightened up. And then he slams his cup down like, tell me about this specter of death.
That's what I do like about this comic, because I do giggle, from time to time. I like their, it's like they have enough seriousness, but also enough of the fun. Like Tybalt too. He seems like he's going to be interesting to keep watching as a character. But yeah, so then we learn more just about.
This is where Nico kind of talks about how he was running from his fate on. Was it? Which plane was he from? Not Zendikar, but Keldheim. So yeah, he was kind of running from his fate in Keldheim, and then he finally realized, I was being dumb. But the god, whatever that secured his fate, was already pissed at him and had was hunting for him essentially.
Yeah, you can't just say no. You're not gonna do what they want.
Fulfill your destiny.
Yeah, and so now they're saying telling him that she's on Ravnica, but every time that she jumps, she ends up she actually said it's like running into a brick wall and then gets flung somewhere else in the multiverse. So she ends up getting sent to Ikoria with some huge monsters.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I like how Chandra's just kicked back, having a drink. Yeah, so they have to find another way to get there. And then, so that's kind of where they're.
Well, yeah, because then it says too, Garak explains why he's hunting Tybalt, who just kind of kills for the fun of it, not for Garak's death is a part of life, but Tybalt was doing it for fun and unnecessarily.
I like, so there's these, they're explaining that, so they're kind of just getting to know each other around drinks, and then when they decide they're going to work together, I like that art. You'll see here, Luke, and I guess readers, if you read, there's a good picture of the three of them, Grook in the back, and they're giving each other nuts.
Oh, like
they're
the fist bumps.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of a cheesy pose.
Yeah.
Chandra's giving two fists out, and Garak's way bigger, and yeah.
But so they're just saying too, Tybalt has a way of covering his scent. I mean, so he can Garuk can track anybody anywhere, but Tybalt has a way of tracking his scent.
A little trickery.
So all of a sudden they're in Zendikar, and then there's the Emeria, the Sky Rune, because they're looking for another way to planeswalk. And then we see our Tybalt and
Davriel.
Talking. And they are on Ravnica, though, so correct, they got to Ravnica.
I don't know if they did. Oh, they did, because
at
the end,
Yeah, so they're talking. They're kind of bickering back and forth at each other. They're always like going to kill each other, they both say. And and they walk up, and there shows Ravnica.
Well, it's funny how Davriel's like, do you think this is a game to Tybalt? And Tybalt's like, yeah, actually, it's kind of fun for me to
he's into
do all this chaos. And
right here he says, I think everything is a game, Davriel. Everything I do, every suffering I inflict serves the highest cause I can imagine. My own amusement, lost lives, bloodshed, pain caused. None of it matters to me outside of how it might entertain me.
So yes, I do think this is a game.
Yeah, so then they're kind of bickering, and then all of a sudden we see some other, you got changes up the words and everything, and you kind of recognize it too.
From one of the earlier issues,
From earlier issues. Yeah, and then they tell to Neil, what's the name, Luke?
Of the dragon?
Yes.
I'm trying to think now. I was literally trying to think of
same here.
As you were talking. It's
it was in the earlier issues.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to type it in. It's
We're gonna have to block this out. We're gonna really sound like a couple of noobs.
We'll keep it in. Because it's the brother of the other big dragon. Why can't I think of him either?
So as we're doing this, which planeswalker are you hoping to see if this series continues that you have not seen yet in a starring role? And I mean, I guess you could consider a Johnny. That's what I would have thought, but he was in the last ones, but not a starring role.
Samut's pretty cool. A Johnny. Trying to think of.
That'll be something to think about sometime. Which make a list of our top planeswalkers you'd like to get their backstories or have featured. I'd be curious out there. I bet there's some polls even out there where you could find some of that.
I am struggling trying to find this. What the hell is his
Jeopardy
name?
Music.
Do. Yes, he is the dragon. Who's the other big dragon? The colorless one.
I'm 100% lost on. I can picture it. Obviously, we read it earlier in the comics. Could picture.
Oh, it's Nico Bolas's brother, but I can't think of the name. I don't know why. Because now I'm trying to
go to like issue 1. I could probably go to the preview issue 1 or 2.
It's not Ugin.
No, I'm trying to find where's the previews world? Why is it so hard to find?
Powerful dragons. Is it Niv Mizzet?
Yeah.
Damn it. Why did that take so long? Oh, silly. Yes. But, so at the end there, Niv Mizzet is like fighting again. And then, they kind of both get startled and they're like, oh, just some philosophy talk or something. And Niv Mizzet's like, I can see through your BS. So then he's like, so Neil.
He's the one too, that was working with the other one, the rest of the planeswalkers and everything, and obviously has a nefarious agenda.
Which is crazy because he was the one. Well, like in the earlier issues, he was kind of surprised that those attacks happened on Ravnica, but obviously he must have been behind it or knew about it. Yeah. Maybe. I guess we'll see more.
Luke, do you have what else do you got? I've got a couple to talk about, but one of mine, the boys, I will talk about last in our comic section so that we can talk about, you watching the boys.
Yeah. Well, actually, I realize I still have to do finish 10 Lives of Wolverine and 10 Deaths of Wolverine, so issue 5 of each are the last ones. But I just tried to read it before this, and it's so complicated because like Wolverine's going back in time to help save Professor X, and then like another guy's sending Omega Red to like try to kill Professor. It's super complicated, so I'm just gonna read it again at some point, and then I'll review that another episode.
Well, that works. I think just in the interest, because this is supposed to be like kind of following up the last episode anyways. that we should just move into the boys because I can talk about that. I read issues 3 and 4, so previously I believed I'd read issues 1 and 2. So, at the beginning of these, we were just kind of meeting who the boys are. And so for issue 3, we have things heat up as wee Huey gets his first taste of action with the boys when the butcher throws him into the deep end. Meanwhile, meet the planet's mightiest heroes, the Seven, and the young superheroine who joined them. I guess you're going into it correct. You never read the comics, but you are watching the show, and I'm going into it the opposite, right? That I've never seen the show, correct? You never read any of the comics?
No, yeah, I haven't read the comics yet.
Yeah, so in this we get to start to meet the Seven, which are this the most famous superhero group, and we meet Annie, January, and so I'm curious, and you can let me know once I'm done on this. I'm curious if these are all the same. So she's a new member to join the team, and she's so excited, and then all of a sudden she's talking, and all of a sudden he tells her to suck it, pretty much.
The Deep.
Yeah.
Right?
What's that?
The Deep? You're saying? The character of The Deep? Yeah.
I think that's, there's so many names I'm learning when you start a new universe that there's, so trying to learn all of them is crazy.
Yeah, in the show, it's The Deep that just like all of a sudden he just drops his trousers and she's like,
Well, so, again, it's with this Huey guy. They go to New York. They're trying to get him to join the boys. So, he's over there. Again, we're meeting the team. So we meet the Seven. And, you think they're superheroes. They're supposed to be good guys. But, they all pretty much, take advantage of this woman. And it's the first time you see that these guys are, they're not what meets the eye pretty much, these superheroes. Then we also going to meet Huey gets to meet Mother's Milk and the Frenchman and the female for the first time. They're kind of walking them, just introducing them to everybody. Check it out, see if you want to join the team. Because Huey's the one whose girlfriend was killed by, I think it was A-Train, the superhero.
A-Train, yeah.
He didn't even care, at all.
He just kept running and gave him a half-ass apology. Well, I should say this is for the show, so I'll let you keep going.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah. Yep. And but then we see Annie, in the toilet. She's throwing up, because she can't believe what's going on. And then she gets to see her Queen Maeve. Is it Maeve? Is that how they pronounce that? Maeve. Okay, Queen Maeve, the Empress of the Other World, and it's like her star, and she's got like her makeup running. This Annie does from crying, and she's so excited to see her, and she literally tells her to fuck off. And so she's again like, what is going on? And then we get to meet the first targets of the boys, who is the Teenage Kicks. So this is the Teenage Kicks and the Young Americans. And so we meet the Teenage Kicks, which is Big Game, Shout Out, Pop Claw, Whack Job, Gunpowder, Jet Streak, Dog Knot, and Blarney Cock. And so they're just kind of introducing them, and they're saying they're going to go for one of the smaller teams, they're just to start. They're going with one of the smaller teams, and they're going with the other team, I guess, is a little bit more on the straight and narrow, at least it sounds, the Young Americans. They're the more traditional heroes, but so they're going after this Teenage Kicks group. So that was issue 3. That all sounds pretty familiar to you so far?
Yeah, some of the B team people you mentioned, I think, have different names. Pop Claw's one of them. But then, like, I didn't recognize the other ones, but they don't get too much into those in the TV show.
Yeah, so they're pretty, they don't go too much into them, but they're pretty focused on these couple issues. Because then we got the next issue is, we got 4. So, once, let's see here, the Teenage Kicks are enjoying, and so then we get, I'm not even going to read what this has. When you start it right off the bat in issue 4, and you see all the Teenage Kicks running around naked in this place, with different acts, with different women that are apparently paid to entertain them, I will just say. And so there's a lot of different odds, crazy scenes, and Huey's in a building across the street, looking in on this and like, realizing just how pretty much depraved these people are. Then we also get to go to a meeting of the seven, so again, this Annie's thinking, so excited. And then the only thing they talk about is like merchandising. They're, mad about it being a percentage off, one of, the big three getting more money and stuff. And so again, it's like you're seeing it's not what you thought. A lot of this issue, though, is a lot of pictures of these teenage kicks and Huey watching them. And again, just realizing how bad these people actually are. And we see the girls using some sort of drug, but it's not white like cocaine, it's blue. Well, we later find out that that's the compound V in this episode that does that. And our main guy, what's his name, Luke? I can't remember the main guy's name now.
Homelander,
yeah. He gets that and injects Huey. Didn't even ask him, just injects him.
That's off. That's pretty. That steers away from the show then quite a bit. If you're on what issue is this? 3?
4.
4, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, he's talking to him in a van, and he has it, and they realize, I mentioned, instead of being, he thought it was cocaine, it was actually this compound V that they give these girls in this house to be able to really, I guess, handle these superheroes and keep whatever. But so that's when he just injects them, and he's not happy. Like, he takes off like he's gonna not, join the group pretty much. And
so not Homelander. Homelander's like the main supervillain of this, or he's the main superhero of the 7, and then Butcher is the main character.
Butcher, yeah. Homelander's the guy in blue I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, Butcher is the one that was in the van here that probably injected Huey, because she's like kind of the leader of the boys.
Yep, Butcher, yep.
Gotcha, yeah.
And Homelander, yeah. So anyways, but so then we also have Homelander, because in that meeting, one of the guys was, making some inappropriate facial things at Annie at the table, and Homelander, after Annie goes around a corner, and he's punched whoever, I can't remember what the other superhero is, because Homelander's like, you got to be more serious when you're in these meetings, because they're trying to hide that, they're a bunch of pretty much scumbags. They're like, you can't do that in front of the money. And there's a lot of the Butcher and his friend from the CIA, where he's when he's getting that drug. So if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so Huey, though, he's not very happy. He's thinking about, he's not even sure if he's gonna at the end of this issue, he's not sure. Like, he's thinking about just leaving, heading into issue 5. So I actually read issue 5 because this one was so good I kept going. So I'm gonna wait though until the next episode to look at that. But so what was different for you, or what, where are you at?
Well, so the compound V stuff you don't find out until might be like season 2. But then like Butcher injecting Huey, that didn't. I mean, I don't know how, if I want to give spoilers, because season 3 is pretty new still. So spoiler alert. I don't know if you want to hear either, since you're reading the comic book, and then you're probably gonna watch the show later, right?
I'm definitely gonna watch the show after.
All right, yeah. I mean, well, then I won't get too into it, but yeah, it sounds pretty close. Like A-Train running through Huey's girlfriend. That was like the first episode.
It's pretty similar. Like The Walking Dead, I read all the comics and I watched the whole show. It's similar, but then there's, like Daryl, who's one of the main characters, it became a huge hit, wasn't in the comics. There was some things that were different or handled differently just for the sake of the show. So I'm guessing there's some of that. So for me, it'll be interesting. And I guess for you too, I can pass on the comic to you, and, vice versa.
Yeah. How many, is it still running, the comic book?
I wouldn't think so, but
because
I don't know.
Like, I just actually wrapped up season 3, so I don't know if there's going to be a season 4.
There was 72 issues. I mean, it was an older comic. Yeah, it ended in 2012.
All right, so yeah.
2006 to 2012. So 72 issues, though. That's a lot of, Walking Dead's 100 and, geez, get up to like 150, but that was like 10 seasons. We just figured they could get 6 or 7 seasons, maybe 10 issues at a time. But
so it looks like June 10th of this year, season, The Boys was renewed for a 4th season, so that's pretty sweet.
Nice. So that was comics. So, you talked about shows. I'll just mention, did I mention I'm so lost that I finished the 100?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, that was a good show. I recommend it if you like, it was just constant action. And, I just like, it's kind of futuristic. They're on different, planets and things like that. The show just, every, like, handful of episodes, we'd be like, what? Like, that's what me and Darcy would do. We'd be like, what in the, because it would just, it would go in like another direction. But no, we blew through that 7 seasons. And we don't get a lot of time. It was a handful of months, but it was pretty good. So now we're, so I will recommend the 100. We finished that. And what we started? We wanted something way different. If you watched, this is a dumb question or dumb thing. I haven't watched it, so some people will probably judge me, but at least that's why we say we're old school noobs. But I just started Arrested Development.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, man, that is funny.
Yeah, it's a great show. I think it got canceled right away, and then it got picked up for like 4 more seasons. Unless it was
we're
like
on the second, or we're towards the end of the second season, probably. Well, maybe middle of second season, because first season there was like 20 some episodes.
Yeah, that's a funny show.
Yeah, so we've been watching that.
Bree didn't get too into it, so we didn't end up watching too much. But the first season came out in like 2006 or something. It's been a long time. So
yeah,
way back then.
A lot of names in that show. A lot of big names.
Yeah, speaking of the main character, Jason Bateman, me and Bree just finished Ozark, which I don't know if you watched that yet, but that's a great show.
That's one I haven't watched.
Yeah, you and Darcy would like that, I bet. It's a really good show. But it's a crazy show. Lots of crazy turns and plot twists.
How many seasons is that?
I think it's 6.
I like when you have a show that's finished, because like the 100, it is the worst thing ever when you get into a show and then they cancel it. You invest all that time. So that's why I'm liking watching some of these older shows. The Witcher too. I've been playing The Witcher. I've been playing a little bit less, which I'd mentioned, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. So not much to say there, but I've been watching The Witcher. I'm still on the second season because we've been, I've been watching some other things, but yeah, I've been watching The Witcher, which also is really good. I watched some last night again. I'm on the second. I think there's only 2 seasons, so I'm probably towards at least halfway through the second season of The Witcher. That's really good so far. It makes me want to play the game again, and I have the board game Kickstarter coming at some point. Who knows in the next year, but that's going to be pretty badass now that I've played the game and watched the show. So
yeah. What is the 100 on?
Netflix.
Is it? And what is it about?
So people are off of Earth. They're up in this spaceship because it's the last of the human race, because like nukes or something had went off.
Oh, gotcha. Right.
And then they send 100 of it's the bunch of kids pretty much that were in trouble and stuff on the Ark. It's called, down to Earth to see if it's survivable, because they're running out of air on their ship. Then they end up. Of course, they survive on Earth, and then they all kill each other for 7 seasons.
Well, yeah, because now that me and Bree are done with Ozark, we're trying to figure out what to watch next instead of replaying all the Office episodes that we always do. That and King of Queens are usually like fallbacks.
Yeah, there are 2 good ones. But yeah, there's so much, man, on TV. We can't figure out even we're debating on what to watch. We didn't want to start a big, long, epic one again right off the bat.
Well, Ozark's only 4 seasons, so
we're gonna, we also want to watch Stranger Things drop, since this has been in the interim. I haven't watched I want to rewatch the 3rd season because it was 2 years ago. Again, I remember it. I'm guessing I'll remember when I see it, but I want to rewatch episode or season 3 and then watch season 4. So
well,
that's
our favorite band got some new fans, I guess, after season 4 finale.
Yeah.
Because they played Master of Puppets or something.
Wyatt keeps telling me about that and playing that, and it's like everybody's favorite part.
Yeah, so now Wyatt's probably a big Metallica fan. You're probably like, I've been telling you this for years.
Well, at least he has a pretty good music taste. So yeah, he likes.
He does, yeah.
Yeah. But so the other thing, so for games, I said football's coming up, and Madden's franchise. Have you kind of been following? It's like they've been putting a ton into the franchise mode, like more scouting, so you can have scouts. But another cool thing, I have let's see, where's my Madden list? So it's got some of the big functions. So there's going to be additional evaluation periods, player motivations, and added salary cap functions. So you get more control and options. There's going to be an off-season free agency hub that has a full visual overhaul. That's supposed to make things just better. But then also active negotiations. It staggers the number of players you can offer during like different groups of the free agency period. So that's, I think, a little bit more. So you can't just offer everybody. Then also you can do multiple offers, like between, before you got to make an offer and then you hit a button to like move it forward. Like now I think you can actually negotiate back and forth instead of, if you remember that, you used to have to put a price, whatever, put a number of years, and then you'd go on and you'd find out if they accepted your offer or not. Now it's a little bit more fluid, but then it also adds like motivations. So like if a player wants to, do a Super Bowl chase. So here's some motivations: Super Bowl chase, historic championships, head coach historic record, scheme fit, top the depth chart, team has a franchise QB, mentor at position, close to home, big market, tax-free state, warm weather state, highest offer. So if a player has, warm weather state and you're the Vikings, they're going to be a little less likely to go here. Or if they want a tax-free state, they might go to Florida or Texas or wherever has no income tax. So all that stuff plays into it. And then there's also things too, like, your quarterback, like they were saying, for example, people went to Tampa to play with Tom Brady. That's going to factor in now. But yeah, anyways, it sounds like, beyond these, there's a ton of overhauls. So I'm pretty pumped to play Madden, and we need to get back to, now that I have good internet, doing a Madden league with AJ.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be fun. AJ bought an Xbox X series, and it's not cross-platform yet, which I think is the stupidest thing ever for such a big franchise. But yeah, we could get Tyler to play and maybe Corey or something, or try to figure something out. Or AJ could figure out, maybe fix his PS4. I don't know if it's fixable. But one thing, so today, I'm probably going to edit this pretty quick, so hopefully I can just get it out later tonight or tomorrow. But the wide receiver rankings just dropped. Did you see that?
No, for
Madden, yeah.
Madden,
so
yeah.
Today,
Nice.
The wide receivers. Tomorrow's the edge rushers. The 20th is running backs. And then 21st is cornerbacks and D-line. And then the 22nd is quarterbacks. So
nice. I say, yeah. I have if we look at Mondays and Tuesdays, it's going to be a pretty easy time for me to record. But I have some news and other things that I missed for comics, so we'll save those for next time too. But the last thing for me, and this talking about games, is I've been changing a lot. I'm just going to mention I kind of want to make someday when we when we have more time again and we have a better flow. Like I want to say, what's on the top of my Steam wish list. Also what I'm playing, but. So recently, I re-added the Divinity Original Sin 2. Have you ever heard of that, Luke? There we go. So yeah, Divinity Original Sin 2 is it's an RPG, but it's just, you can pretty much do almost anything. Like you can kill any character and it'll change the way what happens in the game. But it's a big RPG. A lot of story to it. You get to affect a lot of the story. But I don't know if you ever replayed those games much, but it's one.
Which ones?
Like just the RPGs in general, like the role playing game.
Not too much. I don't know what's is that like what's Fallout 4?
Well, that's those are role playing games.
First person shooter role playing game or something.
Yeah,
I played that game a ton.
So yeah, that's one I added again to my playlist, and then I also have Grim Dawn. I was looking for something that's like Diablo, which I love the Diablo series. As there's 3 that I've actually played all the games. And I accidentally just hit a button and almost opened Grim Dawn.
Did you get the mobile game for Diablo that just came out?
I played it for a minute, Diablo Immortal, and then I stopped right away. Now that I work from home, like I used to play mobile games when I used to have to go into the office, sometimes you'd play a mobile game or, I'd go out and sit in on my lunch break and have time now I work from home so I have my computer right there if I'd want to, versus, playing something on my phone. So I played it, and then I just never play games on my phone anymore. But lots of PC games. I have a few that I want to get. I'm hoping. The nice thing on Steam is, you add games to your wish list, and then when they go on sale, you find out. So there's a few games like RimWorld. It's a colony sim, base building, survival game. It's got just, very, I don't know what to call it, but very almost cartoonish graphics, but I guess it's supposed to just be a super, like, you could just do almost anything in this RimWorld and then go to it's a sci-fi colony sim driven by an intelligent AI storyteller. Generate stories by simulating psychology, ecology, gunplay, melee combat, climate, biomes, interpersonal relationships, arts, medicine, trade, and more. And when you have on Steam, you have the ratings. It has overwhelmingly positive, which I don't know if it's the highest, but probably is. 98% of the 112,000 people gave it overwhelmingly positive. But it's supposed to be a really fun game on Steam, so that's one I'm waiting for.
Is there a fly flying around in your office?
Yes, there is. It's
Looks
really
like it
annoying.
just landed on your nose.
Yeah, it's done that a handful of times, and it's driving me nuts.
So it's funny because speaking of PC games, I was talking to my neighbor who, I talk to every now and then, but we never really talked about like gaming or anything. But I don't know how it came up, but apparently he plays Escape from Tarkov. Have you ever heard of that? It's supposed to be like it's like a super realistic first person shooter, and then it's online, but then it's also like a survival game. And then like I think what it sounds like every so often it like just resets everyone back to 0, and you have to start from the beginning and then just keep doing it all or do it all over again.
Yeah, that's pretty. A lot of games I play too, though. Yeah, they'll reset after so often.
So, anyways, yeah, it was just funny that like he's a huge PC gamer, I guess, because he's like got a super souped up computer and stuff. So I was like, awesome.
Yeah, another one. Yeah, I mean that's what you gotta get Steam. You gotta get Steam on your computer, and there's so many good games. One I've been meaning to get to is called Grounded, and it's a survival game, but it's literally like if you look at it, it's pretty in depth, but it's like your Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I mean, it's a survival game, but in your own backyard, and so you're fighting like but it's an in-depth survival game, but instead of having big monsters, Grounded.
That'd be a fun one. Check out.
Yeah. Then the graphics are awesome, and that's on my wish list too. It's $29.95, so I'm waiting for it to go down. But
so on your wish list, if it goes on sale, it just tells you, right?
Yep, you get an email, or when you go and you look at your wish list and you sort, and you can sort by the biggest discount and go down. They'll always have their summer sale or fall sale, or a million different sales. So I usually wait till they go.
That's right too. I just played. I don't know if you listen to the podcast with Tyler and AJ, but I bought Stronghold Crusader collection. Yeah. So I played that again.
Awesome.
I played that on Saturday night, and then I'm just doing like the trail or whatever. You have to, you start, fight the easy guy, and then you go keep getting harder and harder. But
yeah,
I beat the first guy after a few trials because I forgot, like, you kind of have to get a flow of like getting wood chopped and then getting food and then getting enough people to be in your army. So first one was pretty easy. Second one was, I think it took me like 3 times because that guy was pretty aggressive compared to the other guy. Like, but once I realized like, oh, you just have to like set up some archers and keep him at bay for long enough to build up a bigger army. Like he was pretty easy to beat, but so hopefully I can play it here a few more in a couple days since the kids will be gone and I can get a little further. But that's a fun game.
Yeah, I'll probably be talking more too. I'm still trying to decide on. So, like I said, I'll be playing more Divinity Original Sin 2. I played it like a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. I think it was maybe even during COVID. I played quite a bit at one point. You know, I got into a handful of games, and that was one of them. And I didn't beat it. I got really far in Divinity Original Sin, and I got to like this boss I just could not beat. And I just started playing something else. So now I can't go back to that. I have to start all over. So I'm trying to figure out which characters to play this time because they each have their own way of like interacting with the world. Like if you don't play as one character in certain instances, you won't even see parts of the story. So it's super replayable because you can switch and play as a different character and see it from different viewpoints. But anyways, so yeah, that and Grim Dawn I've been playing, and that's like I said, a Diablo-like game. It's hack and slash. You kill stuff and you get tons of loot. And then the cool thing in Grim Dawn is you can have multi-class. It could be any classes. And the other cool part is for like a hack and slash, you can easily switch like from a ranged weapon to your melee. You can have two different sets. And you just hit the button W, or I think it is, and you switch between them really quickly. And so I can go from dual wielding with two knives to shotgun or a crossbow, depending on what weapon. And you just get tons of loot. So it's a hack and slash game, which can just be fun sometimes.
Speaking of hack and slash, did we ever figure out what game that was? Like for one of your birthdays, we went to the Holiday Inn, and then we played like that crazy hack and slash game where like one person was a wizard or like an elf and the other was a wizard, the other was like a dwarf. But I just remember
it's so similar to Gauntlet Legends, which is on my system.
Yeah, it might have been that, but and we haven't played fun. Gauntlet on your arcade yet. We'll have to do that next time.
Yeah, I've showed it to people because I can't remember. I mean, it's been so long. I think it might be that game, but I can't remember because that's very similar to what the game we're thinking of.
Yeah,
at least. But anyways, I think we should wrap up for episode 24. I think I have lots more even for next time. So I mean, I'm just going to say it. People just know that they probably they shouldn't listen to us, but hopefully, we can record again soon because I'm starting to have more free time. Unfortunately, it's at the sake of the store, but I just have too many games and stuff to play. I can't. I got to stop working so much.
Well, yeah, and you had brought it up earlier. Or you didn't say on the podcast yet, but we were throwing around the idea of changing the name.
Yeah.
Since the original idea was to like interview hobby, like game store owners, and we did that once in episode 2, and haven't done it since. So we're trying to think of if we should change the name and what it could be and stuff. So
I had thought of this earlier, and I just didn't say it, but I almost just think the Old School Noob Podcast.
I mean, that'd be good.
I mean, so anyways, we're going to do some workshopping, but also, we'll have to come up with that would be a whole rebrand almost. So,
and we'll try to get like a more, a better recording schedule. I know Tyler and AJ said they might be able to record this coming weekend. So we'll see if that turns out, but.
All right. Yeah. We have to figure out a weekend anyways, too, for me to go to your place. So we should figure that as well. And then we can record there.
Yeah, so, that'd work.
Until next time, just like Luke and I are going to do, go play some games.